We're in a microwave society where people are like, okay, like I'm gonna start this business. If I don't make 100K my first year, it's a failure.
Amen.
That's not true, man.
I mean, success is about consistency. It's about doing it over an extended period of time. Consistency always beats talent. And remember, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Don't quit when you're not seeing results immediately. Just keep on going, keep on building up your skills, keep on building your foundation, and then all of a sudden, things are going to start to click. Let's Talk Assets podcast. My name is Chris A. Williams, one of your hosts, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Giovanni Paradise.
Gio, man, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, man. It's been one heck of a year.
Yeah. I mean, burning down towards the end of the year, man, just really trying to stabilize for the next year. The year is moving forward. So, have you thought or gave any thought to what you're planning for next year, 2025?
Yeah. No pun intended, but to acquire more assets. That's what this podcast is all about. Is about assets and taking some of that active income and diversifying. Kind of really taking that leap into the commercial space and trying to grow my portfolio there. So that's kind of my focus. And then getting into the public speaking. Coaching space, really giving people true value and opportunities that other people aren't giving out there in that space. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, that's really good. So as far as my 2025, I've definitely vision plan. I'm similar, I'll say, acquiring more assets. I'm really focused on single family residential right now. I know people have asked me, do I want to dabble in, commercial, multifamily? I would say, possibly in the future. But for now, I really want to focus on one specific thing, get as good as I can at it, and then branch off to the next thing.
Absolutely.
So in the investing realm, definitely investing more in the single family residential. And then when it comes to, the companies and such, I want to grow them, scale them in different ways and get into those different aspects like we're talking about, coaching, training, mentoring. Those are all things that are, very valuable to me and also that I think would be very beneficial for potential real estate individuals.
Absolutely. I've seen, obviously we talk a lot. You traveled a lot recently,
yes,
doing some different workshops. I see with Pace Morby. I seen you did the Alex Hormorzy workshop, a lot of different networking events, opportunities as well. Mm-hmm. And obviously back home, you've done a lot of networking events as well. Yeah. A lot of different opportunities have presented themselves to you. Mm-hmm. How do you learn to say no?
Oof, that's a great question because you have to learn to say no because there's always opportunities. Like if I check my DMs right now, guarantee I have 100 different opportunities in there. So really what I try to focus on is that opportunity that gives me the most value and that's closest aligned to what I would call my Mount Everest or my 5-year goal, what I'm working for. So anything that doesn't align with that, kind of pushing it to the side because if we're being honest, every opportunity is going to yield some return, but does it yield the exact return that I'm looking for? So any of my opportunities just have to align with that.
That's beautiful. What do you think, for everyone out there, you've obviously invested heavily in coaching yourself, before you getting ready to go on that journey of opening that up for people, for you to able to mentor them, for those that are outside your organization. Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think, the positives, the myths, facts of getting coaching, paying for mentoring, what you've learned from doing a whole bunch of different events. Some of them are real estate related, some are not. So what was your kind of experience like overall?
Yeah. So when it comes to the mentorship space, the coaching space, that's something that everybody wants to get into, to be honest with you. And I was very skeptical about it for a long time because I've heard all these different scams. It'll be people who may do one deal and they start, they got a course and they're coaching, things like that. So what you want to look for, what I would suggest is really vetting the people who are hosting the platform, whether it's coaching, whether it's a course, whether it's mentorship, really vet them. Are they actually doing what they're saying they're doing? Do they have a consistent time period in which they're doing that? And are they actually making money from it, or are they actually just bringing in all their money from the courses?
Absolutely.
So I think those are things that you want to look for ideally. Now, when it comes to me personally, I don't regret a single dollar that I spent when it comes to coaching, mentorship, any of that, because I feel it's so valuable, because what you learn in coaching is skills. And when you're learning these skills, this is different than any, physical item and such, because those can fade, those can go away. But skills, I have these for the rest of my life. So even if I spend, a lot of money this 1 year, and I may not even get, let's say I don't even get the ROI this year, but okay, because I know the skill, I can do this for the next 30 years. I guarantee I can get an ROI within the next 30 years.
100%. A lot of people, from what I've seen, they're always hesitant to invest in themselves. Mm-hmm. They'll, in investing in coaching, investing in mentor, if you're not able, a lot of people, are not able to have access to mentors. And unfortunately, some people do have to pay.
Yeah.
And, but I can tell anybody that's listening that that's the single most thing that will take you from one level to the next.
100%.
Is a solid mentor. Because, they're kind of giving you the cheat code, the shortcuts. And,
exactly.
What you're not, people think, hey, you're paying for this course, you're paying for access. Now, all those things may be true partially, but I think more and more of what you're paying for is, hey, these are the mistakes I've made. Mm-hmm. I've made them. This is how you don't make them.
Yep.
And that's kind of the only cheat code there is.
Yeah.
And so you got to realize that people's time is valuable. Mm-hmm. And when you pay for that course, they've lost thousands, maybe sometimes hundreds of thousands, maybe even sometimes million, depending on who you're dealing with, trying to figure out their business.
Exactly.
And they're kind of opening and pulling back that curtain for you. So I've got a chance to do some mentorships and to do some events where I had to pay to sponsor, and the return for me is the networking, the amount of people you meet. It's allowed me to grow my business and grow, my brand and my reach. And that's what it's all about. So I encourage everyone that's listening to get out there, get involved in some type of networking event, some type of conference, seminar, workshop. Learn, because the more you learn, the more you earn. Get out there and grow. Mm-hmm. We're doing it. As you see, Chris is high level. I'm high level. We're both investors. We're both in the real estate game, and we still invest in mentorships. Yeah. So that goes to show you guys, no matter what level you think you're on, there's always another level you can go to.
Always. And you're your most valuable asset at the end of the day. I think the audience, you guys just have to remember that. When I first started in my career, I tried it the way that many people do, which is basically running into the wall, because I didn't want to pay for mentorship, and I didn't have really access to mentorship at that time. So I was like, all right, I know I can work hard, so I'm just going to do a bunch of things and see what sticks. So literally I was working 80 plus hours a week with no results, versus when I got with a mentor, my second year, pretty much immediately I was able to start producing and then, continue on. So that is one of my bigger regrets, in my career. And people ask, like, what's one piece of advice you would give somebody when starting off? I would 100% say, get with a mentor, be involved with some type of coaching, mentorship. Make sure you're going to training, because that's going to accelerate your process and not keep you stagnant.
100%. I love that. And let's tell the viewers a little bit about what you got going on. What's new with Chris A. Williams?
Yeah. So right now, what I'm really focusing on is putting out content, to be honest with you. I've been able to build a pretty big local platform, I'll say, but now I'm trying to expand to a different level, from just local to getting more of a national reach now. So I'm going through those growing pains in a sense, as far as, with YouTube, getting that back up and running, being more consistent on Instagram, TikTok. Like right now, I'm challenging myself to a 100-day TikTok challenge where I have to post at least one video a day for 100 days, because that's just going to force consistency within myself. So that's really what I'm focusing on now. And the reason why I'm focusing on that is to open up some different platforms, which I'll be announcing, sometime soon up here and such.
That is beautiful. That's awesome.
And how about you?
Oh, man, for me, I think next year, again, I'm into buying more assets. So a big journey in which I've already started, which I've already been doing, is I've been doing syndications. I have about 3 pending that are going to close here in the next probably 60 days. So
Nice.
just trying to do bigger deals,
Yeah.
and bring in capital, manage capital. We're raising more capital. I'm going to be lending more money,
Nice.
doing private money going into the next year. Help turning agents also into investors. That's been a big goal of mine. And, for me, getting on stage, I want to share my story, my message. I want to share the knowledge that I have with people, and give back, charity events. That is, and my goal next year to do 1 a quarter is to do a charitable event for the community, give back. Because I've been blessed,
Nice.
and I know what it's like to be at rock bottom. So sharing the wealth and giving back, man. Again, expanding my reach, continuing to get outside of our market. A lot of people like to be the biggest fish in a small pond. But my goals and my vision's a little bit larger than Hampton Roads. But I am very grateful for this market
For sure.
and what it has enabled me to build. It's a beautiful place to live, and it's always home. I love my home, and a lot of people when they make it, they shit on Virginia, right? And they talk bad about it, or people even here. So you got to get out of Virginia to make it. I just think you got to change your circle to make it.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Always
ain't nothing wrong with Virginia. There's plenty of people here making lots of money.
Exactly, man. I got a bunch of love for VA. I got VA tattooed on me, as you see. It's
sir.
on my leg,
Yes, sir.
Now, I know you mentioned the stage, though. You've been on stage before, right?
Yeah, I've done 2 speaking, one big one, but I've done 2 speaking events so far.
Your first speaking event. Tell the audience a little bit about that. Like, how did you feel before? Like, were you nervous?
I was definitely nervous because it was my first one, and I was going on stage with people that had already been there. Obviously, I wasn't a keynote because I was a rookie, right? You got to start off at the bottom, right? And so it was a little bit more Q&A format.
Okay.
But I was up there with 2 other people, but I was able to command a pretty strong presence, and I got a lot of great feedback, got a lot of connections, a lot of relationships, and I've already, that event, which obviously I wasn't paid for because I'm not, I don't have a personal brand to attract a large audience yet, but however, I made money from speaking for free. So I know if I could do it once, do it again. And then it helps expand my reach, and, it helps me expand my company. It helps me expand the Cambridge Group beyond Hampton Roads. The more people I meet, the more people invest with me, the more people I can invest with. And so, real estate's a beautiful thing because there is really no borders.
Yeah.
You can go nationwide. You can go worldwide with it if you want to. So I love it. So, just looking, forward to, again, working on getting inside more doors. I'm actually going to be throwing some events next year, locally and nationally. And so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that's dope.
It's coming.
That's dope. And I love what you mentioned also too about, being on stage, how you said you didn't get compensated for it, but you're a pretty successful businessman, and other businesses that you're being, compensated pretty well for it. So I think what the audience can take value with that is to not be so worried about getting paid up front, because you're thinking about the longer term opportunities. Like I mentioned earlier, like a Mount Everest, what your 5-year goal is, what your 5-year goal, your 5-year vision is. So you're willing to sacrifice, temporary payment for your longer term goal, because like you said, being a rookie, you can't demand, top payment for your first speech. You're just trying to get in the door at that point. So I definitely commend you, for having that mindset and just knowing like, I'm reaching for something bigger. So forget this temporary stuff. Like, it's going to lead me to bigger ROI, bigger payment down the line.
What I kind of equated to, Chris, is like becoming a musician, becoming a rapper, right? You start out at the bottom. You got to do local shows at a local club, a very small venue. And you're probably going to get paid little to no money. And then you're grinding, but you just want the opportunity. You want the limelight to be on you, that, hey, the right person hears you. And then, your career starts taking off. You do bigger and bigger events. Eventually you get signed, you go on tour nationwide, bigger and bigger venues, right? And then you blow up. The part I think is very hard for people in our field is most people who are qualified to speak, that get invited to speak, they're already successful. So success sometimes breeds divas. And
The
some
ego.
people, are pretentious. Some people have that kind of attitude where like, I'm a big deal.
Yep.
I'm not showing up to your event. You pay me.
Yep.
I'm not gonna be the opening speaker. I'm the top guy. We got to realize it's not just about where you are professionally. It's where you're at in this space.
Yep, exactly.
And how someone that can be way behind you as far as their business could be smaller than yours. However, their brand's a lot larger than yours. And you got to put that in perspective and crawl before you walk.
Yeah.
And it's all about staying humble, staying down. If you really want to help people, you keep that mindset and just stay consistent. It's about staying consistent. And, just like you said, I'm on a journey now of social media, getting my education out there, teaching people, giving free content. Because, obviously a lot of people charge lots of money for mentorships. So I'm putting out tons of free content there because people ask me a lot of questions. So I'm going to give the people that. Got to get the YouTube channel back up. Obviously, we're cranking this thing back up as well. It's about consistency. The thing I underestimated, because I'm not a social media guy. I didn't build a business off of social media. So I didn't underestimate the amount of work it is to be good at social media.
Yeah.
And I commend people that dominate that space because it is another job. It's another business. It's another beast within itself. It requires bandwidth. And so it requires you to set up systems and processes. So once I started thinking about it as a business, I started now to set up shooting content, posting content, managing social media like a business. And it's starting to become easier, but one foot in front of the other, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't got it all figured out yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah, man. Consistency is key, especially with content. But so we're, two men right now. We don't have a guest on this podcast.
Yep.
So what we wanted to do was we wanted to open up to some questions, some common topics that we've been asked in the space. So we're gonna kick it off to our producer, who's gonna be asking us a few questions.
Shout out to Josh.
All right. So Chris, can you highlight a pivotal turning point in your life or your career?
Great question. So a pivotal point in my career, I would say, I've got a few. I'll actually talk about more the recent one was when I realized like I have to delegate to grow. Because for a while, I had kind of had that mindset. I was an entrepreneur. I wanted to just bank all the money that I can. So I wanted to keep 100% of the pie and not pay anybody else. But also, I had built the skills to be able to do anything. So as a real estate agent, I was running my whole transactions from start to finish. And I taught myself that skill. So I was like, I don't really need to bring on an admin or assistant or anybody like that because I know the skill on how to do it. But it got to the point as I started to grow where I literally ran out of time because I'm one person at the end of the day and one person has 24 hours, no matter how hard you work, even if you work all 24 hours, which we know is not possible. So it got to the point where I was actually dropping the ball on things. I would look at my messages and, I've got people who are basically begging to give me money and I haven't answered them because I don't have the time in the day. So that's when I really realized, all right, I need to bring people on. I need to delegate. So my first step was bringing in an admin person, assistant. All right, now I'm getting some time back because they're doing my paperwork and I can just focus on sales, which is, the highest ticket item thing at the time. So I was focusing on sales. And then at that point, I'm like, all right, let's take this a step further. Let me take another step back. And I bring in a sales team and they can focus on the sales. And then I can focus on something else. And then it's just been so on and so on and so on. And now I'm at a higher level. So I think that's been one of the most pivotal things. And it's been the reason how I've been able to really separate and go to a higher level was by bringing other people on and delegating. So that's one piece of advice I would give to every entrepreneur is don't be afraid to share the pie. If you look at some of the most successful people like Bezos, Elon Musk, and Warren Buffett, they don't own 100% of their companies. They have other people in place. They have CEOs, CFOs, all these people are running the plays. And they still have a percentage of it, but they're bringing in the most money because they have people that are in position and making things happen for them.
Amen. They say you can have growth, you can have control, but you can't have both.
Exactly. That's great.
Yes,
That's
sir.
great.
All right. So, Gio, there's this kind of phrase that persistence always beats talent. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I equate business a lot to sports, right? A lot of people understand the analogy when you compare it to sports and talent, raw talent. The best ability is availability, right? So if someone can't get on the field, it doesn't matter how much talent they have if you're not in the game. And so that's part of being consistent as an entrepreneur. If you're not showing up, if you're not being really diligent and really consistent on that basic framework of building your business, it doesn't matter how much talent you have because you're not, again, giving yourself an opportunity to perform or to show your talent. And in real estate, that's showing up every day. I really think that COVID has been a double-edged sword. This whole work from home culture has really destroyed the fabric of what builds a real estate business. And it's not that you can't be successful working from home. I'm not saying that at all. But I believe in energy. So it's so important to be with a team, first of all, first and foremost, and being around energy and being around leadership that inspires you, that motivates you. Iron sharpens iron, right? It's in the Bible. Everyone goes by that saying, whether you're religious or not. And so you have to be consistent. You got to show up to a place, an environment with a plan. You can't just go out into the jungle and you're trying to hunt and you're out there, ta, 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 ta. You're going with the plan. You're being consistent with that plan. You're following through. And by being consistent, you're able to see, hey, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? And how do I do this better? And how do I stay consistent at doing what I'm doing well? And that way you're, again, able to stay consistent, see results, and have measurable goals. So again, consistency always beats talent. And remember, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
That's really good. I love that. And even to, back up what you're saying about just showing up consistently and especially appearing in office, I'll say like a real example in my company. I mean, at the time this is being shot, I have 10 agents that are on my team. And the agents who are the most successful are the ones who are coming in consistently and actually showing up in person. Now, a lot of people want to get in real estate as a real estate agent because they think, okay, I can do this from home. I can do this in the movie theaters, wherever. But our most successful agents are the ones that are coming in. And these are people, they may have been other places and they may have not been selling homes, but immediately when they come to my team and they show up consistently, they're bouncing ideas off of other agents, the results show up, the sales show up just very consistently.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Chris, tell me about a time that you almost quit and why you're glad that you did it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, I really like this question. A time I almost quit. There was never a time I almost quit. Like, just being honest with you. Now, I did have thoughts of quitting, like, especially my first year, how it was so unsuccessful. Only 2 sales my first year, brought in total income of $12,000.
I want you to, again, really hyper focus and reiterate that, Chris.
Yeah.
Because people see you today, right? They see instant success.
Yep.
How many sales did you have your first year?
My entire first year, I had 2 sales. The entire year, 2020, only 2.
That's what happens when you don't quit.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I keep
And that's why I never actually quit. Now, like I said, those thoughts came in, especially I had self-doubt. I had people who saw me struggle and they wanted the best for me. So they're like, hey, maybe try this other thing. But I never quit because I knew it would work. I just didn't have the game plan to make it work at the time, though. And that's because I didn't have the proper mentorship and things like that. But once I was able to figure that out and get equipped with the proper mentors, have the correct game plan, I was like, all right, we're going to pop off. And then, that's what happened. The next year was 100 times more successful. So I really there was never a time I really was going to quit because I knew that I just had to keep on going. And I would say the same thing for any entrepreneur. Like, if you keep on going, something's going to work eventually. Now, my way was I just kept on running into the wall a million times. And eventually I was like, all right, I can't run into it this way. But if you get with like the proper mentor, you have the proper platform, you don't have to run into the wall, and you can have the proper guidance. So you're not just constantly banging yourself, and you can get there a lot faster than I did.
Awesome. That's beautiful.
All right. Gio. Yes, sir. The lie about success being overnight. Talk to me about that. Some people think it's overnight success. It's popped up on the scene, but it's about that lie.
Yeah, I would say, I'm in my early 30s. The biggest mistakes I've made in my life were I looked at people, I compared myself to them, especially in my early 20s. I was working in nightlife and working in the car business, working in timeshare. I was around a lot of people who are a lot further along than me. However, they're also a lot older than me. And I didn't know them, at a time when they were younger and less successful. I only knew them as they were, right? And so to me, I would compare like, wow, those people are so successful. I need to be doing more. And it led me to making mistakes. And so, overnight success, can you shoot out of the barrel? Absolutely. You can have boom. But to have success, success is about consistency. It's about doing it over an extended period of time. Anyone can do a deal, do 2 deals, right? Anyone can start a business. Most businesses fail within their first year. Even a less percentage businesses last more than 2 years. That percentage goes down at the 5-year mark. And once you make it past 10 years, you really got something there, right? But you can say, hey, I'm a success. And people throw that term out so loosely, right? And a lot of people equate money with success. And so overnight success and how you measure success is going to determine that viewpoint. So for me, that overnight, when you're looking at someone and you feel that they're at where you want to be in life, or they're accomplishing something that you inspire to do or become or achieve, you need to realize all the work that they've put in, all the back end, all the times they've spent studying, the late nights, the sleepless hours, the stress, the worrying about paying bills, not knowing where their next check's coming from. Because as an entrepreneur, it's feast or fathom. You know what I mean? That's it. It's feast or famine, excuse me. As an entrepreneur, it is feast or famine. So you have to understand that success is not going to come quickly. It comes from staying consistent, and it comes from putting in work, because that's what luck is. Luck is when hard work meets opportunity. And you're kind of, again, I always use the slingshot. Everyone's like, a slingshot, you pull back to go forward, right? And so some of that self-development that we talked early on in the podcast, investing in yourself, where, hey, I'm not getting results right away. It takes sometimes years. Chris just said it. His first year, he sold 2 houses. He probably sells 2 houses a day sometimes. You know what I mean? So you guys got to understand, overnight, you look at Chris. Even if I looked at Chris and I didn't know him, I'm like, wow, this kid's just wow. But they didn't see the struggle. And that's why we do this podcast. You guys go back, watch some of the older episodes. Every entrepreneur we've had on here has a different journey, things they've went through, the ups and the downs, almost going bankrupt, almost losing everything. And remember, let's take the guy from Starbucks. He was turned down over 200 times by banks. His business idea sucked. It's not going to work. He owns probably the largest coffee brand in the world. So again, when you think of that overnight success, always dig deeper, peel back the curtain, and remember that people's life experiences, the work and the risks they took lead them to the position they're in now.
Yeah, that's really good. And I would say one of the biggest issues I have with a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs right now is like we're in a microwave society where people are like, okay, like I'm gonna start this business, and I immediately, if I don't make 100K my first year, it's a failure.
Amen.
That's not true, man. Like that's not how things go. Like you said, you have to build your skills. Like it's really all about building your foundation. And that's why I really never quit during that first 2 years, because I was like, all right, even though I'm not seeing the success I want, I know I'm building my foundation. And also too, you just got to understand that there's just certain times in life, like it may not be for you to make the amount that you want to make this year. Because I know for me, if I would have made the amount that I want to make my first year, oh my God, I would probably be, in the streets somewhere, like laid out. Like I just didn't have the maturity to make the amount that I wanted to. So I had to go through, those struggles and things like that. So I want all my entrepreneurs to also remember that too, is that don't quit when you're not seeing results immediately. Just keep on going, keep on building up your skills, keep on building your foundation. And then all of a sudden, things are going to start to click. It's just like compounding interest. For example, you guys have credit cards, you know, that if you don't pay your credit card one month, your bill is going to go up. And if you don't pay it the next month, it's going to keep on going up. You're like, dang, all that, you know, I had a balance of $1,000. Why is it $20,000 now? It's because compounding interest. It's going to be the same exact way with building your skills as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's that saying to me that always resonates in my head. It's easy to make money. Anyone can make money. It takes discipline to save money, and it takes wisdom to grow money.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's all about. Success isn't overnight, like you said. It takes a lot of work.
Yep.
And with that, why is self-reflection critical for growth, Chris?
Self-reflection is one of the most important things that you need to know as an entrepreneur. Where self-reflection comes in a lot, I would say, is as you start to get successful too. I feel like when you're starting out, I think it's pretty easy to be self-reflective because you're like, all right, maybe I'm not seeing the results that I want. So let me just I know I have to tweak things, but what about when you start seeing all the success that you get? Then what happens? A lot of people get away from self-reflecting and they're like, all right, their ego comes in. They're like, okay, I'm cool. I don't really need to do anything else. Like I can just keep on doing things the way I'm supposed to, which I mean, keep on doing things the way I am, which you can in a sense, but things are always ever changing also too. And you cannot have ego. You have to remove ego. I think that's been one thing that's been able to help me out a lot is I don't have any ego whatsoever. I'm always willing to listen to anybody, you know, willing to seek out any advice, any mentorship. And then from there, I, you know, take that self-reflection and I apply it to my life. So I would say my big piece of advice is as you start to get successful, always critique yourself and be willing to listen and you don't just have to listen to, you know, the most successful people. Be willing to listen to anybody, you know. I'm not saying that to always do and take their advice, but be willing to listen to it because even somebody, you know, let's say a janitor, for example, I've got super valuable advice from janitors back when I used to, you know, stay super late in the office and they would be there cleaning. I would get super valuable advice. And, you know, of course, I'm making way more than them, but that doesn't mean that their opinion isn't valid. They could still give me something good. So I would say that for any aspiring entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I definitely think self-reflection for me personally in my business was one of the things that I had to master in order to grow my business. Mm-hmm. And why my business has grown is because early on, what I didn't realize is how quickly I was growing. I didn't see myself as other people saw me, as a leader, as the owner, as a CEO of a company. I didn't view myself that way. I was just kind of, hey, I'm young gunslinger, hustler. I'm coming up doing deals. I'm a deal maker. Yeah. But I had to, you know, get mentorship because I knew I was failing as a leader. And I knew I was making mistakes, acting off emotion. And I would get upset when people didn't want it as bad as I did. I wanted it more for them than they wanted it for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I would get upset. I would get upset with them. And I wouldn't use the right tools to guide them to correct their ways and you know, and investing time into people. And I would get emotional. Mm-hmm. When I, you know, unfortunately had to realize the truth that some people just do not want it as bad as you think they do. They want the results, but they do not want to go through the pain. And you can't get mad that someone has less ambitions than you. Yeah. In the beginning, I did. I got upset. You know, I made very bad decisions, and it limited me and limited my growth as a leader. And so that's kind of the journey I've been on as a leader, is to be a little more compassionate, understanding, but it's allowed me to understand where people's limitations are and how far they're willing to go. And if they're willing to push themselves past the pain, then people wouldn't need to be led. Yeah. They would be leading their own campaign, their own army, their own company, their own charge. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, helping people get themselves to the next level, but also understanding that, hey, can't expect everyone to be at your level, have your drive, your ambition, your desire. That was one of the self-reflective moments that really resonated with me.
That's really good. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a super valuable question. I mean, I always ask that question to anybody whenever they say they're interested in real estate. I always ask them, what is your real reason why? Because a lot of people will say, I mean, not even will say, but the real reason why they want to get in real estate is for money, right? But starting out in any career, whether it's real estate, whether it's any career, is you're going to deal with pain, because you're starting at the bottom and your competition is people who've been doing this way longer than you. They're all the way up here. So you have to realize what is really your why, and that's going to help you push through the pain. So I think every entrepreneur, before they start a new venture, has to really realize what is their why and what's going to keep them going. And if they have a good why, all right, cool. But if you don't really have a good why, you got to question yourself, is this really the best path for you? Because it's going to take a lot out of you.
I love that. Love that.
Gio, how have your struggles shaped your success now?
I've had to earn everything that I have today. I wasn't afforded parents who put me in a position financially or had the knowledge or the relationships. I had to build all those relationships. When I started my company, I invested the same amount of money as my partner did, even though he was very wealthy. My partner was very successful, very smart as well. And the whole step of the way, I'm very grateful for him making me match money. So I knew what it's like, to struggle. I hit rock bottom. I restarted my life at 31 years old. And it took a whole lot of me swallowing my pride. But, rock bottom teaches you lessons that money can't. Mm-hmm. And I always go back to one of my favorite entrepreneurs is Damon John. He wrote a book called The Power of Broke. And being broke and having to go through the struggle, it forces you to come up with tactics and ways to grow your business, to get creative, guerrilla marketing, get really hand-to-hand combat, I call it. Contact sport. Real estate's a contact sport. If you're not making contact with agents, with buyers, with sellers, with other investors, you're not doing business. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. And so it made me more thrifty. It made me to be more kind of creative, got me into that space and struggle instead of just having a bunch of money. Because if I would have had a bunch of money in the beginning, I wouldn't have learned all these hard lessons. I wouldn't have learned what it's like to struggle and learn what it's like, hey, to have nothing. And being able to keep my lifestyle below what I was earning is one of the grateful things that I'm able to do based on how much I struggled, early on in my life. And look, I come from a great family, but by no means do I come from poverty at all. A lot of my wounds as an adult were self-inflicted, but that struggle I went through, it also made me focus on getting better. Because once you hit rock bottom, a lot of people go through a lot of different emotions. If anyone's ever been at rock bottom, people are thinking suicide. People are thinking of giving up. People are thinking, this is my lot in life. But if you change your mindset and say, hey, look, this is the bottom. If you fall on your back, if you fall on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up, right? Mm-hmm. Rock bottom, the only way is up. Mm-hmm. Things can only get better. And understanding that the struggle is only temporary. Struggle to me is a state of mind.
Yeah.
But again, that struggle, that pain is why a lot of people don't make it. Mm-hmm. And just use Chris's example, selling only 2 houses in a year, you're struggling.
Yeah.
That's a struggle. You're not making income to pay your bills. Mm-hmm. You're living off of savings or you're living with somebody else. Credit card debt. Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's a struggle. Mm-hmm. To know I'm accumulating debt just to survive. Yeah. And so, but a lot of people will not go through the struggle. They will not go through the pain to get the rewards of success.
Yeah.
So again, if you're not willing to struggle, if you're not willing to go through the pain, entrepreneurship may not be for you. Yeah. So you got to be comfortable, again, with pain, with struggling if you really want to blossom.
Yeah, I agree. And then for my entrepreneurs who are watching this that are in rock bottom, I would tell you guys, just keep going. The other day I was actually driving past the mall. So before I was in real estate, I used to work at Foot Locker. And one of my last years there, I didn't have a car at the time. So I was actually in school also too. The reason I had to drop out of college after a semester was because I didn't have a car. I couldn't afford to get to work and also go to school. So I would be taking Ubers. So at
Which
the
isn't
moment,
cheap.
no, definitely. That's why I had to drop out.
Absolutely.
So I remember, in the mall, there's a McDonald's across from it. And I saw that McDonald's, like, just remembering a few years ago, I was literally sitting in that McDonald's contemplating, like, I'm going to really have to drop out of school because I only have $10 in my checking account. This Uber costs $8 and I'm not getting paid for the next 2 weeks. So, like, these were real conversations I was having with myself less than 5-6 years ago. And then now, I'm in the position where I wouldn't even think to have a conversation. Like, a lot of my problems now are problems I would have prayed for back then. I wouldn't even think like these are like problems. Like, I would have really prayed to have these situations. So for my entrepreneurs, I would say, man, just keep going. It's going to get better. As long as you just put in the work, you're going to get to where you want to be. So don't get discouraged. Don't give up. And also, when you're in your rock bottom, document the journey also. That's what I wish I would have done more. I was just so embarrassed at the time. I was just so embarrassed I didn't document it. But for my entrepreneurs, make sure you document your rock bottom journey because you're going to look back on it in a couple of years and just thank God.
Amen.
And that kind of goes to the last question about how do you turn your setbacks into opportunities?
Yeah. So how you turn your setbacks into opportunities, and do you always have to look at the positive in a situation? That's one thing about me. In any type of situation, I'm always looking for where's the positive. I'm never really thinking negative. I'm always thinking solution based. So even though it may be a crazy situation, it's like, okay, what can I learn from this? And how can I make sure this never happens again? So that's what I would say. It's just always try to find the positive in a situation and just apply it. I mean, it's really simple.
Absolutely. I mean, if you think you're going to go start a business and you're not going to have setbacks, you're not going to have bumps and bruises, you're sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
You're going to have all kinds of setbacks. You're going to have failed partnerships. You're going to have sleepless nights. You're going to have times when you're ready to quit. You're going to have all these things. You're going to go through all these emotions. But those setbacks, life is 20% of what happens to you and 80% on how you respond. Adversity is what's going to build character, is what's going to fortify you, make you strong. And so those setbacks, you got to use it as motivation. You got to bite down harder. It's like going through pain.
Yep.
You just bite down harder, have that grit, have that gumption to push through that pain, and you're going to be rewarded for it. And so that's all, when I think about the struggle and I still go through struggles, I still go through pain, I still go through days where I want to quit no matter how much success I've reached. But then I sit back and I realize there was days I prayed. My everyday life was my dream once upon a time. And we forget that. We forget that because it becomes so regular, right?
Yep.
Our routine, our day-to-day, it becomes so regular, right?
Yeah.
Making that level of income, having, a business, having clients, it becomes so regular, we forget that once upon a time, when you were in that Uber, when you were struggling, when I was in that cell, this was all a dream for us. But now we're living our dream.
Yeah.
Now all the challenges now is we have to continue to dream bigger.
Yeah.
But never forget, and that's the challenge. You never forget where you started.
Yeah.
And never forget that, hey, you're blessed no matter what. If you're doing what you love and you're making a living, no matter how much money you're making, you're taking care of yourself, you're paying your bills, you're making a living, you're blessed.
Yeah, I agree. And you guys just got to remember also too that setbacks means, or challenges, problems, these means growth. That means growth at the end of the day. Because when you're stagnant, nothing's really gonna, happen because you're not moving. But when you're lifting in the gym, for example, to get stronger, you have to tear your muscle. You're going to be sore. You're going to feel pain, but that's what makes you stronger. It's going to be the same exact way in business. These problems, use them to make you stronger, and that's going to help you become a better entrepreneur at the end of the day.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, we're really excited for everyone that has tuned into this podcast. We're really excited to be back with you guys by request. We went through a couple iterations. Me and Chris had some major positive changes in our business, and we were setting up systems, making sure our companies were both kind of set on autopilot and our people were taken care of.
Yep.
And then, we were looking, for some more support level, again, more systems and processes to be able to give you a better quality product here at Let's Talk Assets. So we're back. Stay tuned for a lot more amazing guests coming on and giving you extreme value on their journey, entrepreneurship, and how you can be an asset both to your community and to your business.
Definitely. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe by clicking the link below on Apple Podcasts. You can also make sure that you follow the podcast. And also, too, one favor I want from you guys is to share this podcast, share any of these episodes with the entrepreneur that you know. This could be an episode that changes their life for the better. So don't be selfish. Share it with them.
Absolutely.
Chris A. Williams and
Giovanni Paradise.
signing out. Let's talk assets.
Peace.